Victor walked through the dark forest at night. He was not a normal man. He had lived for 300 years, moving from town to town. He did not age or die like humans did. Instead, he fed on their blood and fear. Victor was tall with skin as white as paper and eyes that glowed red when he was hungry. Tonight, Victor was very hungry. He had not fed for many days. The small town near the forest seemed perfect. The people there did not lock their doors. They felt safe. Victor smiled, showing his sharp teeth. They were not safe at all. As he got closer to the town, Victor thought about how easy it would be. Humans were weak. They could not see in the dark like he could. They could not hear the small sounds that his ears caught. They could not smell fear like he could. And their pets were even weaker. Victor especially hated dogs. Dogs were nothing but wolves that had become soft and lazy. They lived with humans, ate from bowls, and slept on soft beds. How pathetic, he thought. Once, dogs had been wild and strong. Now they were just toys for humans to play with. The lights of the town began to appear through the trees. Victor could smell wood smoke from fireplaces and food cooking in kitchens. He could hear people talking in their homes, laughing, not knowing what waited outside in the darkness. At the edge of town, Victor saw a young woman walking alone. She was maybe 20 years old with long dark hair. She was looking at her phone, not paying attention to anything around her. Victor smiled again. This would be so easy. He moved quickly and quietly, staying in the shadows. The woman did not hear him coming. Victor was just a few steps behind her when suddenly he heard a low growl. A dog was standing between him and the woman. It was not very big, with thick brown fur and bright eyes. The woman still had not noticed anything strange. She kept walking, but the dog stayed behind, facing Victor. Victor wanted to laugh. This small dog thought it could stop him. He had killed wolves 3 times this size. He showed his teeth to scare the dog, but the dog did not run away. Instead, it barked once, very loudly. The bark hit Victor like a physical force. Pain shot through his body. He stumbled backward, shocked. This had never happened before. The bark was not just a sound. It carried some kind of power that hurt him. The woman finally noticed the dog and called to it. "Rex, come here, boy. What are you barking at?" The dog kept its eyes on Victor, but backed up toward the woman. Together, they walked around a corner and out of sight. Victor stood still, trying to understand what had happened. How could a normal dog hurt him? It was impossible. He must find out more about this dog. He followed their smell to a small house at the edge of town. Through the window, he saw the woman talking to an older man. The man had gray hair and a beard. His face was lined from years in the sun. The dog sat next to him, looking normal now. Victor watched as the man patted the dog's head. There was nothing special about either of them. But Victor knew what he had felt. That dog had power. And this old man must know something about it. Victor decided to stay and watch. He would learn the truth, and then he would destroy them both. Victor stayed hidden in the shadows for the rest of the night. He watched the small house where the woman and the strange dog had gone. As the sky began to lighten with the coming dawn, Victor felt the painful pull of sunlight. He had to find shelter before the sun rose fully. He slipped away to a dark cave he had found in the forest. There, he rested during the day, thinking about the dog that had hurt him. In all his 300 years, no animal had ever caused him pain like that. It made no sense. The dog looked normal, not special in any way. When darkness fell again, Victor returned to the town. He moved carefully through the streets, staying away from any dogs he saw. He wanted to learn more about the old man and his special dog. This time, he found the old man in his backyard. 3 dogs were with him, including the brown dog from the night before. Victor stayed far back, using his sharp hearing to listen. "Good boy, Rex," the old man said to the brown dog. "You did well last night. You sensed the danger and protected Sarah. The other two dogs sat watching as the old man put his hand on Rex's head. Victor saw the man's lips moving but could not hear what he whispered. After a while, the old man brought out simple dog treats. He trained the dogs to sit, stay, and come when called. This looked like normal dog training, but Victor felt there was something more happening, something he could not see or understand yet. Later that night, Victor saw the old man draw a circle in the dirt. The three dogs sat around it, watching closely. The old man took out a small silver knife. "My name is Caleb," the old man said to the dogs, "and you are my guardians. Tonight, we will practice sensing the hidden ones." Victor watched as Caleb pricked his finger with the knife. A drop of blood fell into the circle. The dog's eyes seemed to glow in the moonlight. This was not normal dog training. This was something else, something that made Victor feel uneasy. For the next few nights, Victor observed these training sessions. He learned that many people in town thought Caleb was just a dog trainer. They brought their pets to him to learn basic commands. But a few people knew his real work. Caleb was teaching dogs to find and fight monsters like Victor. On the fourth night, Victor saw Caleb working with 5 different dogs. They practiced moving in a circle, always keeping something in the middle. Then they practiced barking all at the same time. When they did this, Victor felt a strange pressure in the air, even from his hiding place. On the 5th night, Victor heard Caleb telling a visitor about his work. "My family has done this for hundreds of years," Caleb said. "We found that dogs can sense the unnatural things that hide among us. With the right training, they can protect people from dangers they never see." The visitor asked, "How do you do it?" Caleb smiled. "The old ways, words of power, a blood bond between man and dog, and most important, love and trust. The monsters are alone. They have no connections. That is their weakness." Victor felt rage building inside him. This old man thought dogs could defeat him. Victor had killed countless humans and animals over the centuries. He was stronger than any human or dog. He decided he would kill Caleb and all his dogs. Then he would feed on everyone in the town to show his power. But first, he needed to learn more about Caleb's methods. There might be other dog trainers like him in other towns. Victor needed to know how to fight this new threat. On the 6th night, Victor decided to learn more about Caleb. He followed the old man as he walked through town. Caleb stopped to talk with many people. Everyone seemed to like him. Children ran up to pet his dogs. Old people smiled and shook his hand. Even the dogs that were not trained by him wagged their tails when they saw Caleb. This made Victor angry. In his long life, no one had ever been happy to see him. He only brought fear and pain. For a moment, he felt something strange. Was it sadness? No, it must be anger, he told himself. Monsters do not feel sad. Caleb stopped at a small shop. The sign said, "Town Library." Victor watched through the window as Caleb talked to an old woman with white hair. She gave him a very old book with a dark cover. "Thank you, Martha," Caleb said. "This will help with the new training." "Be careful, Caleb," the woman said. "There is something dangerous in our town. I can feel it." Caleb nodded. "I know. Rex sensed it 5 nights ago. It was following Sarah." Victor moved away from the window. They were talking about him. The old woman could feel his presence in town, and Caleb knew he had been watching Sarah that night. As Caleb left the library, Victor decided to follow him home. He wanted to see what was in the book. Maybe it contained secrets about how to train dogs to hunt monsters. At home, Caleb sat in his yard with the book open on his lap. Rex and 2 other dogs sat near him. Victor stayed far back in the trees, watching. Caleb read from the book, then showed the dogs pictures on the pages. After an hour, Caleb closed the book and stood up. "Time for the real training," he said. He drew the circle in the dirt again. This time, he placed small objects in the circle. Victor could not see what they were. Caleb pricked his finger again and let blood drop on the objects. Then he pointed to each dog and said words in a language Victor did not know. The dog's eyes began to glow slightly. "Find the traces," Caleb said. He pointed to the trees where Victor was hiding. All three dogs turned to look directly at where Victor stood. Even though he was far away and hidden in darkness, they knew he was there. One dog began to growl low in its throat. Victor moved quickly away. This was bad. The dogs could find him now, even when he was hiding. He needed to act fast. He needed to kill Caleb before the dogs became too powerful. The next day, while Victor slept in his cave, he had strange dreams. He saw himself running from a pack of dogs with glowing eyes. He saw Caleb standing on a hill, pointing at him. He saw himself turning to ash in the sunlight. When he woke at sunset, Victor was angry. He did not fear dogs or humans. He was the hunter, not the hunted. Tonight, he would kill Caleb and end this threat. Victor went to Caleb's house as soon as it was dark, but Caleb was not there. Victor followed his smell into the forest. The human was walking alone, with only Rex beside him. This was perfect. One dog would be easy to kill. Victor moved quickly through the trees. He got ahead of Caleb and waited in a small clearing. When Caleb and Rex entered the clearing, Victor would jump out and attack. He would kill the dog first, then the man. Then he would drink Caleb's blood and take his power. He heard footsteps coming closer. He could smell the human and the dog. He got ready to attack. But then Caleb spoke. "I know you're there," Caleb said calmly. "I've been waiting for you to show yourself." Victor froze in place. How did Caleb know he was there? He had been so careful to stay hidden. Rex the dog stood beside Caleb, looking directly at Victor in the darkness. "Show yourself," Caleb said. "I know what you are." Victor stepped out from behind a large tree. He let his human disguise fall away. Now he stood tall, almost 7 feet high. His skin was white like marble. His eyes glowed red in the darkness. His fingers ended in sharp black claws. "You are brave to face me alone, old man," Victor said. His voice was deep and cold. Caleb did not seem afraid. "I am not alone," he said, putting his hand on Rex's head. "And I have been hunting your kind for 40 years. Victor laughed. 40 years? I have lived for 300 years. I have killed more humans than you have met in your short life." "I know," Caleb said. "I can see the darkness around you. All those lives you took. All that pain you caused." Victor took a step toward them. Rex growled, showing his teeth. "Your dog cannot stop me," Victor said. "I will kill it first. Then I will drink your blood slowly." "You still do not understand," Caleb said. He whistled once, a sharp sound that echoed through the trees. Suddenly Victor heard movement all around him. From the shadows came 5 more dogs. They moved silently, their eyes fixed on him. They formed a circle around Victor, trapping him in the clearing. Victor turned slowly, looking at each dog. They were different sizes and colors. Some were big, some small, but they all had the same look in their eyes. They all watched him the same way. "What is this?" Victor asked. He tried to sound strong, but fear was growing inside him. "This is what you never expected," Caleb said. "This is what will end your long, dark life." Victor laughed again, but it sounded hollow even to him. 6 dogs. You think 6 dogs can kill me? They do not need to kill you, Caleb said. They only need to hold you until morning. Victor looked at the sky between the trees. It was still dark, but dawn was maybe 2 hours away. If he was caught in sunlight, he would burn to ash. "I will not stay here that long," Victor said. He moved to run past Caleb, the weakest point in the circle. But as he moved, all 6 dogs barked at once. The sound hit Victor like a physical wall. He fell to his knees, feeling pain throughout his body. It was like being burned and frozen at the same time. "What have you done to them?" Victor asked, his voice weak now. "I taught them to see you," Caleb said. "I taught them to hear the darkness in you. I taught them to use their voices to hold you in place." Victor tried to stand but could not. The dogs kept barking, not loudly, but in a strange rhythm that seemed to lock Victor's body in place. How? Victor asked. How can simple dogs have this power? Caleb walked closer to Victor. Rex stayed by his side, still growling. You have been alone so long, you forgot what connection means, Caleb said. These dogs are bonded to me, and through me, to each other. They share their strength, and they are doing what dogs have always done, protecting their pack, protecting their home. Victor struggled against the invisible force holding him down. He could not break free. For the first time in centuries, he felt true fear. When the sun rises, you will die, Caleb said. Your evil will end. The people of this town will be safe. No, Victor said. I cannot die this way. Not killed by dogs and an old man. Caleb shook his head. You still do not understand. Your pride is your weakness. You thought nothing could threaten you. You were wrong. The dogs continued their strange barking. Victor grew weaker with each minute that passed, and the sky was slowly growing lighter. For an hour, Victor struggled against the power of the dogs. He tried to use his own dark magic. He tried to call on the strength he had taken from his many victims over the years. Nothing worked. The 6 dogs kept him trapped in their circle. Please, Victor finally said. Let me go. I will leave this town. I will never come back. Caleb stood watching him, his face showing no emotion. How many others have begged you for mercy? Did you ever let anyone go? Victor did not answer. They both knew the truth. He had never shown mercy to anyone. Why do you hate us so much? Caleb asked. Why do you enjoy causing pain? Victor looked up at the old man. Because you are weak. Because you live your short lives never knowing real power. Because you deserve to be prey. And yet here you are, Caleb said, trapped by creatures you thought were weak. The eastern sky was growing lighter now. Victor could feel the coming dawn like a weight pressing on him. He had maybe 1 hour left before the sun would touch him. Listen to me, Victor said. I am not the only one of my kind. There are others like me in the world. If you kill me, they will come for you. Let them come, Caleb said. We will be ready. My students are training dogs all over the country. Soon, every town will have protection against monsters like you. This was worse than Victor had thought. There were more trainers like Caleb, more dogs with this strange power. His kind had lived secretly among humans for centuries. Now that could all end. You cannot win against all of us, Victor said. We do not need to kill all of you, Caleb said. Only those who hurt humans, those who choose to be monsters. This made Victor pause. What do you mean, choose? I have met others like you who do not kill, Caleb said. They find ways to live without causing harm. They are not my enemy. Victor had never considered this idea. In all his long life, he had believed he had no choice but to be what he was, a killer, a monster. The thought that he could have chosen differently made him angry. You lie, he said. We must feed on humans to live. No, Caleb said. You must feed on blood. It does not need to be taken by force or in amounts that kill. The dogs were still barking their strange rhythm. Victor still could not move, but for the first time, he was thinking about his life in a new way. Had he chosen to be cruel? Could he have lived differently? These questions had never entered his mind before. It is too late for me, Victor said quietly. Yes, Caleb agreed. You have killed too many, caused too much pain. But others of your kind might make better choices if they know what awaits those who prey on the innocent. The sky was definitely lighter now. Victor could see the colors of the dog's fur. He could see the lines on Caleb's face. Soon he would see the first rays of the sun. And then he would burn. Will it hurt? Victor asked, his voice small now. Caleb nodded. Yes, but it will be quick. Quicker than what you did to your victims. Victor looked at the 6 dogs still holding him in place with their barking. He looked at Rex, the first dog who had challenged him. How did you know? Victor asked Caleb. "How did you know I was in town?" "The dogs always know," Caleb said. "They sense the unnatural. They feel the darkness. They have protected humans since the first wolf chose to live beside the fire instead of in the wild. That is their purpose." Victor closed his eyes. He could feel the sun coming closer. There was no escape now. His long life would end here, in this small clearing, surrounded by the animals he had always thought were beneath him. The first birds began to sing as dawn approached. Victor had never paid attention to birdsong before. It had always been just noise to him. But now, knowing these would be the last sounds he would hear, he listened. The songs were beautiful in their simple joy. "Tell me about the first one," Victor said to Caleb. "The first monster you hunted." Caleb seemed surprised by the question. He studied Victor for a moment, then nodded. "I was 20 years old," Caleb said. "My father was a dog trainer like his father before him. One night, something attacked our town. 3 people were killed. Their bodies were found with no blood left in them." Victor listened, watching the sky grow lighter. "My father knew what it was," Caleb continued. "He had been training our dogs for years, preparing for such a threat. But he was old and sick. He could not hunt the monster himself. So he told me everything. All the secrets passed down in our family. How to bond with the dogs. How to help them use their natural abilities to fight the unnatural." The dogs were still barking their strange rhythm, but more softly now. Victor could no longer feel his legs or arms. He was frozen in place by their power. "I was afraid," Caleb admitted. "I did not believe such monsters could be real. But my father's dogs believed. They knew. So I trusted them. We tracked the monster to its hiding place. It looked like a beautiful woman, but the dogs saw its true form." "What happened?" Victor asked. "The dogs surrounded it, just like they surround you. They held it in place until sunrise. I watched it burn in the morning light. I saw its true face as it died. It was horrible and sad at the same time." Victor understood that feeling. The horror of what he was. The sadness of a life spent causing pain. "After that," Caleb said, "I knew my purpose. I trained more dogs. I found others with the gift to bond with animals. I taught them what my father taught me. We built a network across the country. Wherever your kind goes to hunt, we will be there." The eastern sky was now pink and gold. The sun would rise in minutes. Victor could see everything clearly now. The trees, the grass, the faces of Caleb, and the 6 dogs who had defeated him. "Why are you telling me this?" Victor asked. "I will die soon. Your secrets will die with me." Caleb smiled for the first time. "Because you asked. Because in your last moments, you wanted to understand. That means there was still something human in you after all." This thought gave Victor an unexpected feeling. Not exactly peace, but something close to it. The idea that after all he had done, after all the darkness in his long life, something human remained inside him. "The others like me," Victor said. "Will you kill them all?" "Only those who will not change," Caleb said. "Only those who choose to remain monsters." The first ray of sunlight broke through the trees. It did not touch Victor yet, but he could feel its heat like a distant fire. "It is time," Caleb said. He gave a hand signal to the dogs. They stopped their barking, but remained in their circle around Victor. Victor looked at each dog one by one. He had always seen dogs as weak, pathetic creatures. Now he saw their strength, their loyalty, their purpose. "You were right," Victor said to Caleb. "I thought they were powerless. I was wrong." The sun rose higher. A beam of light touched Victor's hand. Smoke began to rise from his skin. The pain was intense, but Victor did not cry out. He kept his eyes on Rex, the brown dog who had first challenged him. "Good dog," Victor whispered as more sunlight reached him. His body began to burn. From his fingers and toes, moving inward, he was turning to ash bit by bit. The pain was beyond anything he had ever felt. But still he did not scream. He would not die like a monster, howling and begging. He would die looking at the creatures that had shown him the truth. The truth that no one is truly powerless when they stand together. As Victor burned in the sunlight, Caleb watched without joy. This was his work, his purpose, but he took no pleasure in it. Destroying monsters was necessary, but each one had once been something else. Each one had made choices that led them down a dark path. When nothing remained of Victor but a pile of gray ash, Caleb said quiet words in an ancient language. The dogs sat silently around the ash. Rex came to stand beside Caleb. "It is done," Caleb said to the dogs. "You did well." He reached into his pocket and pulled out small treats for each dog. They had worked hard, using their special training to hold Victor in place through the night. Now they could rest. Caleb took a small glass bottle from another pocket. He carefully collected some of Victor's ashes. He would add them to his collection. Each bottle contained ashes from a different monster. Each one reminded him of the work he had done, and the work still to do. As Caleb and the dogs walked back toward town, the forest seemed brighter. Birds sang in the trees. Small animals scurried through the underbrush. Nature was returning to normal now that the unnatural presence was gone. In town, people were starting their day. They nodded and smiled at Caleb as he passed. They patted his dogs. They did not know what had happened in the forest. They did not know what danger had been in their town. Caleb preferred it that way. Let them live their lives without fear. Sarah was waiting at Caleb's house. She had brought coffee and fresh bread. She knew what Caleb had done last night. She was one of the few people in town who knew his real work. "Is it finished?" she asked as she poured coffee into 2 cups. Caleb nodded. "Yes, he will not hurt anyone else." "Did he fight?" Sarah asked. "Not at the end," Caleb said. "At the end, I think he understood." They sat on Caleb's porch, drinking coffee and watching the dogs play in the yard. Rex stayed close to Caleb, always alert, always watching. "Will there be more?" Sarah asked. "Will they come looking for him?" "Maybe," Caleb said, "but we will be ready. And I have called the others. My students in other towns are watching for signs." Sarah had been helping Caleb for 5 years. She had found him after something attacked her in another town. Caleb and his dogs had saved her life. Now she helped him train new dogs and new trainers. "I wish people knew what you do for them," Sarah said. "How you keep them safe." Caleb shook his head. "No, it is better if they do not know. Fear changes people, makes them see monsters everywhere, even where there are none." In the afternoon, a young man came to Caleb's house with a small black puppy. The puppy played with the other dogs while Caleb talked to the young man. "He is a good dog," Caleb said, watching the puppy. "Strong and smart. He will learn quickly." "Can you train him like the others?" the young man asked. "My town has had strange deaths recently. People found with no blood." Caleb felt a cold weight in his stomach. Another town. Another monster. The work never ended. "Yes," Caleb said, "I can train him. But I will need to train you too. The dog cannot do this work alone. You must learn to bond with him, to help him use his power." The young man nodded. "I am ready to learn." Caleb looked at the small black puppy playing happily with the other dogs. Soon that puppy would be a hunter of monsters. Soon he would stand between innocent people and the darkness that wanted to harm them. "We start tomorrow," Caleb said. "The training is hard for both of you, but it is important work." That night, Caleb sat on his porch with Rex beside him. He looked at the stars and thought about Victor. Had there been a moment when Victor could have chosen a different path? Could he have been something other than a monster? Caleb would never know, but he would keep fighting to give others that choice, to protect those who could not protect themselves. With the help of his dogs, the most underestimated guardians in the world. 3 months after Victor's death, Caleb sat in his yard with 12 dogs around him. 6 were his regular team. 6 were new dogs in training. Their owners stood nearby, watching carefully as Caleb showed them how to work with their dogs. The bond is the most important part, Caleb explained. Your dog must trust you completely. You must trust your dog completely. Without this trust, the magic will not work. The new trainers nodded. They had all come to Caleb after monster attacks in their towns. They had all seen what darkness could do. Now they wanted to learn how to fight it. Caleb had created a training circle in the dirt. He placed different objects in the circle. A piece of cloth that had belonged to Victor, a lock of hair from another monster, a tooth from a third. Each object carried the energy of the creature it had come from. The dogs moved around the circle, sniffing the objects. Their bodies changed as they sensed the dark energy. Their fur stood up. Their eyes grew more alert. They began to growl low in their throats. See how they react, Caleb said to the trainers. They can sense the unnatural. This is not something I taught them. All dogs have this ability. I just help them use it. One young woman raised her hand. But how do they fight creatures so much stronger than them? Good question, Caleb said. They do not fight with teeth and claws. They fight with something deeper, something monsters do not understand. He signaled to Rex and the other experienced dogs. They formed a circle around one of the objects, a black stone that glowed faintly in the daylight. This stone contains the essence of a very old, very powerful monster, Caleb explained. Watch what happens when the dogs work together. The 6 dogs began to bark in the special rhythm Caleb had taught them. The black stone began to shake. Then it cracked down the middle. The faint glow disappeared. The dogs used their voices to disrupt the monster's power, Caleb said. They create a field of energy that no unnatural creature can fight against. It is like trying to swim against a strong current. Eventually, the monster grows weak and cannot move. The new trainers watched with wide eyes. Some looked scared. Some looked excited. All looked determined. Will my dog be able to do that? A young man asked, looking at his small terrier. Yes, Caleb said. Size does not matter. Breed does not matter. What matters is the connection between you and your dog's desire to protect. For the rest of the day, Caleb worked with each trainer and their dog. He showed them how to strengthen their bond, how to help their dogs recognize the energy of monsters, how to use the ancient words that would focus their dogs' natural abilities. As the sun began to set, Caleb gathered everyone together for one final lesson. Remember, he said, we do not hunt these creatures out of hate. We do not kill them because they are different. We stop them because they choose to hurt innocent people, because they choose to be monsters. The trainers nodded solemnly. This was serious work, hard work, but necessary. Some of you will face great danger, Caleb continued. Some of you may be hurt or worse, but know that you are not alone. We are a network now, all across the country. If you need help, it will come. That night, after everyone had gone home, Caleb sat with Rex on the porch. The stars were bright overhead. The town was quiet and peaceful. We did good work today, Caleb said to Rex, scratching behind the dog's ears. Rex leaned against Caleb's leg, his eyes scanning the darkness as always watchful, always ready to protect. Victor was wrong about so many things, Caleb said softly, but especially about you. He thought dogs were weak because they chose to live with humans. He never understood that this choice was your strength, not your weakness. Rex looked up at Caleb with intelligent eyes that seemed to understand every word. The monsters are alone, Caleb continued. That is why they will always lose in the end. No matter how strong they are, they face us alone. But we face them together. 1 year after Victor's death, Caleb received a letter from a small town 200 miles away. One of his students, Mark, had successfully stopped a monster that was killing people there. Mark had trained his German shepherd, Luna, using Caleb's methods. Together, they had tracked the monster to its hiding place and held it until sunrise. Caleb felt pride as he read the letter. His work was spreading. More towns were protected now. More innocent lives saved. The network of trainers and dogs was growing stronger every month. That evening, as Caleb walked through town with Rex, he noticed a stranger watching him from across the street. The stranger was tall and thin with very pale skin. He wore dark clothes and stood perfectly still in the shadows. Rex began to growl. His fur stood up along his back. Caleb immediately knew what this meant. The stranger was not human. He was like Victor, a monster hiding in human form. Caleb was prepared to call his other dogs, to surround this new threat. But something made him pause. The stranger was not trying to hide from him. He was not attacking anyone. He was simply watching. Carefully, with Rex staying close, Caleb crossed the street. The stranger did not move as they approached. "I know what you are," Caleb said quietly. "Why are you in my town?" The stranger looked at Rex, then back at Caleb. "I came to see the man who trains dogs to hunt monsters. The man who killed Victor." "Did you know Victor?" Caleb asked, ready to signal Rex if needed. "He was my maker," the stranger said. "He turned me into what I am 300 years ago." Now Caleb understood. This creature had come seeking revenge. He tensed, preparing for an attack. "I did not come to fight you," the stranger said, seeing Caleb's reaction. "I came to thank you." This was not what Caleb expected. "Thank me for killing your maker." The stranger nodded. Victor was cruel. He enjoyed causing pain. He taught all his children to be like him. But some of us wanted to be different, to live without hurting humans. Victor punished any who tried. Caleb remembered what Victor had said in his final moments, that there were others like him who might choose differently. With Victor gone, the stranger continued, "Some of us are trying to find a new way to live, a way that does not involve killing." "How do you feed?" Caleb asked, still suspicious. "There are humans who will give blood willingly, in small amounts that do not harm them," the stranger explained. "It is enough to survive, though not to be as powerful as Victor was." Caleb studied the stranger carefully. Rex was still alert but no longer growling. The dog seemed to sense no immediate threat. "Why are you telling me this?" Caleb asked. "Because I want to propose something," the stranger said. "An agreement between your hunters and those of my kind who do not wish to harm humans. We will help you find the ones who still kill. You will leave in peace those who choose to live differently." This was something Caleb had never considered, working with monsters instead of only hunting them. But it made sense. Who better to find the killers than their own kind? "How can I trust you?" Caleb asked. The stranger smiled slightly. "You have your dogs. They can sense evil intent. Does your dog sense that in me?" Caleb looked down at Rex. The dog was calm now, watching the stranger with interest rather than aggression. "No," Caleb admitted. "He does not." "Then perhaps we can find a way forward," the stranger said. "A way that protects innocent humans and allows those of my kind who wish to live peacefully to do so." Caleb thought about Victor burning in the sunlight, about his last words, about the possibility that not all monsters were the same, that some might choose a different path if given the chance. "I will consider your proposal," Caleb said finally, "but I will need proof of your good intentions." The stranger nodded. "That is fair. I will return in 1 week with information about a killer in the next county. Your dogs can confirm if I speak the truth." As the stranger turned to leave, Caleb called after him, "What is your name?" The stranger paused. "I was Thomas when I was human. I have tried to remain Thomas even after what Victor did to me." "1 week, Thomas," Caleb said. "We will see then if monsters and hunters can work together." That night, Caleb sat with Rex under the stars, thinking about this strange new possibility. Perhaps the future would not be only about fighting and killing. Perhaps there was room for understanding and change. Rex put his head on Caleb's knee, looking up with eyes that seemed wiser than any human's. Caleb scratched the dog's ears gently. "You knew, didn't you?" Caleb said softly. "You knew Thomas was different from Victor. you sensed the difference between a monster who chooses to kill and one who chooses not to. Rex sighed contentedly, pressing closer to Caleb's side.